1 minute ago, Karma's secret immigration plan just leaked 1 minute ago, and what King Charles did when he saw it could end this government by Monday morning. A whistleblower inside the Home Office sent encrypted documents to 3 major newspapers. The plan is so extreme, so devastating to British communities that even Labour MPs are calling it career suicide. We're talking about numbers nobody thought possible. When King Charles saw page 7 of those documents, palace insiders say he went pale, demanded an emergency meeting with the Prime Minister, and used words no modern monarch has dared speak to a sitting government. If you want to understand why Britain is about to explode, hit that subscribe button right now, because the next 14 minutes will change how you see this country forever. Here's what sparked the crisis tearing through Westminster like a firestorm right now. At 2:47 p.m. yesterday, a senior civil servant walked into the Telegraph offices in London carrying a brown envelope. Inside that envelope were 43 pages of internal Home Office projections marked Cabinet Eyes Only. The documents detail Starmer's actual immigration targets for the next 3 years, not the sanitised numbers he feeds the public. His message to cabinet ministers 3 weeks ago was crystal clear. We need immigration reform that reflects modern Britain's values. But the numbers weren't reform, they were revolution. Within 90 minutes of those documents hitting editors' desks, phones across Westminster started ringing off the hook. The whistleblower, who remains anonymous for obvious reasons, allegedly included a handwritten note that simply read, "The British public deserves to know what's being planned in their name." That note is now being analysed by multiple news organisations trying to identify the source. His exact words in the leaked cabinet memo were chilling. Public resistance to immigration targets, Star wrote, reflects outdated attitudes that must evolve. The memo then outlined specific numbers: 843,000 new arrivals annually by 2027. That's not a typo, 843,000 people every single year. For context, that's equivalent to adding a city larger than Leeds to Britain annually. Hidden in Appendix C of the leaked documents are projections for what they call family reunification multipliers. Government analysts estimate each initial arrival could sponsor an average of 2.3 additional family members over 5 years. Do the math. We're not talking about 843,000 people. We're potentially talking about 1.9 million new arrivals annually once chain migration kicks in. That's a population larger than Birmingham arriving every single year. The response was swift and devastating. Within hours, Conservative MPs were calling emergency press conferences. Reform UK's Richard Tye held up the leaked documents on live television, demanding Starmer's immediate resignation, but it was what happened inside Buckingham Palace that nobody saw coming. According to senior palace sources speaking on condition of anonymity, King Charles was reviewing his daily briefing papers when his private secretary handed him the leaked Home Office documents at approximately 4:15 p.m. The King read page 7 twice. That page contained projections for housing demand, NHS strain and school capacity under the proposed immigration levels. One source described Charles's reaction with a single word: fury. But it wasn't just anger, it was betrayal. Charles reportedly told his private secretary, "They promised a measured approach, they promised community consultation. This isn't governance, this is social engineering on a scale that will fracture the nation." Those words spoken in private reveal how deeply the King understands what's at stake. The constitutional monarchy survives by staying neutral, by remaining above politics. But when government policy threatens the social fabric of the realm itself, even monarchs must act. Palace lawyers were immediately summoned to review the King's constitutional powers in situations where government actions might threaten national stability. Those consultations lasted until nearly midnight. Meanwhile, British families who had waited months for NHS appointments were being told there was no capacity. Dennis Morrison, a 72-year-old Royal Navy veteran from Portsmouth, waited 9 months for hip replacement surgery. His GP surgery has 3 doctors serving 8,400 registered patients. "I served this country for 26 years, Dennis told reporters yesterday. Now I can barely walk and they tell me there are no appointments available for another 6 weeks. His wife Janet breaks down every time she helps him up the stairs in their council flat. Their grandson posted a video of Dennis struggling to stand, which went viral with 3.7 million views. The caption simply read, "This is what they've done to our heroes." While Dennis suffers, the leaked documents show Starmer's government projecting an additional 420,000 people requiring NHS services annually under the new targets. We're talking about hospital wings already operating at 137% capacity, being asked to absorb populations equivalent to entire cities. Emergency rooms in Manchester report 12-hour wait times. Cancer patients in Liverpool are having treatments delayed by months. Maternity wards in Birmingham are delivering babies in corridors because there aren't enough beds. And now Starmer wants to add nearly 1 million more people annually to this already collapsing system. The contrast is brutal, so morally bankrupt, that even traditionally Labour-supporting unions are demanding answers. The Royal College of Nursing released a statement calling the projections mathematically impossible to sustain. Dr. Sarah Williams, a nurse practitioner with 17 years of experience, recorded a tearful video that's been shared 890,000 times. "We're already broken," she said. "We're already working ourselves into the ground. How are we supposed to absorb this? Someone tell me how." Nurses earning £28,000 annually while working double shifts are being told to just work harder, accommodate more patients and stretch resources further. Meanwhile, Starmer and his cabinet enjoy private healthcare plans funded by taxpayers. The optics are absolutely devastating for any government claiming to represent working people. Teachers are speaking out too. The National Education Union reports that 67% of primary schools in England already have pupils arriving who speak little to no English. Teachers in Bradford describe classrooms with 14 different languages being spoken. "I became a teacher to educate children," said one anonymous educator from Luton. "Now I spend half my time trying to communicate basic instructions through Google Translate. This isn't sustainable. This isn't education." Then something unprecedented happened that nobody saw coming. King Charles broke 70 years of royal protocol and demanded a face-to-face meeting with the Prime Minister. Not next week, not when schedules permit, but immediately at 6:30 p.m. yesterday. Starmer's motorcade pulled through the gates of Buckingham Palace for what was scheduled as a brief 15-minute courtesy discussion. That meeting lasted 97 minutes. Palace staff described the atmosphere as glacial. At one point, raised voices were heard echoing through normally silent corridors. "Your Majesty must understand modern economic realities require difficult decisions," Starmer reportedly argued. The King's response, according to two separate sources present in an adjacent room, was delivered with icy precision. "I understand that British citizens who built this nation deserve better than being treated as obstacles to your social experiments. Explain to me how communities already stretched to breaking point will survive this." What happened next has never been confirmed officially, but three separate sources paint the same picture. Starmer attempted to leave the meeting early, standing up and gathering his papers. King Charles remained seated and simply said, "Prime Minister, I have not dismissed you." Those 6 words stopped Starmer cold. For those unfamiliar with royal protocol, the monarch dismisses visitors, not the other way around. By refusing to end the meeting, Charles was asserting his constitutional authority in a way no modern king has dared. Starmer sat back down. The discussion continued for another 40 minutes. Constitutional experts immediately recognised the significance. Professor Michael Henderson of Cambridge said, "The monarch requesting explanations from government policy represents the most direct royal intervention in politics since the abdication crisis." Charles isn't just concerned. He's drawing a line. The optics are catastrophic for Starmer. When the head of state himself demands answers about your immigration policy, you've lost the moral authority to govern. When the king himself extends a meeting by force of constitutional authority, you're not just facing political opposition, you're facing institutional rebellion. The domino effect began before Starmer's car even left the palace grounds. Financial markets opened this morning with sterling falling 2.3% against the dollar within the first hour of trading. Currency traders cited political instability and immigration policy concerns as primary factors. £18 billion was wiped from the FTSE 100 before lunch. Pension funds lost value. Working families' savings took hits, all because investors see what Starmer refuses to acknowledge. This plan is economically insane. Inside the Labour Party, fractures became chasms. Within 3 hours of the leaked documents going public, 7 backbench MPs issued statements distancing themselves from the proposals. Rosie Duffield, Labour MP for Canterbury, didn't mince words. These numbers don't reflect the manifesto I campaigned on or the promises we made to voters. I cannot support this direction. 2 junior ministers requested urgent meetings with the chief whip. WhatsApp groups with names like Common Sense Labour started forming, with 37 MPs sharing concerns about electoral suicide. International reactions ranged from confused to horrified. Poland's Conservative government issued a statement praising British families resisting demographic replacement. Italy's Giorgia Meloni subtly criticised Western European nations abandoning their citizens for globalist ideology. Even France, normally diplomatic, saw Marine Le Pen tweet about Britain's wake-up call. Hungary's Viktor Orban went further, offering to host a European summit on defending national sovereignty against globalist immigration agendas. The European political establishment watched Britain's crisis with a mixture of fear and genuine concern. If Britain's Labour government could collapse over immigration policy, what did that mean for centre-left parties across the continent? Social media exploded into total warfare. The hashtag #Stop Starmer's Invasion trended #1 in the UK for 6 straight hours. Videos of overcrowded schools, packed GP waiting rooms and housing estates bursting at the seams went viral. One TikTok showing a Kent primary school with 47% of students unable to speak English as their first language hit 4.2 million views in 8 hours. Protests erupted across Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds and Newcastle. Not hundreds of people, but thousands. British flags. Placards demanding referendums, our country, our choice, at working-class Labour heartlands were rising up against their own government. Inside number 10 Downing Street, the atmosphere transformed from confident governance to complete panic. Ministers who days earlier defended Starmer's vision now avoided television interviews. Rachel Reeves cancelled 3 scheduled BBC appearances. Angela Rayner suddenly had diary conflicts, preventing media rounds. Cabinet meetings devolved into shouting matches about who leaked the documents and how to control. The bleeding Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, allegedly confronted Starmer directly in front of 8 witnesses. "You've destroyed us," she said, according to sources present. "We can't defend this. We won't defend this." Health Secretary Wes Streeting was overheard telling colleagues, "If we don't pivot immediately, we're looking at electoral annihilation." Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson reportedly broke down crying during a cabinet meeting, saying her constituency office in Sunderland had received 847 complaints in 24 hours. "These are lifelong Labour voters," she sobbed. "They're calling me a traitor to the working class." WhatsApp groups, normally reserved for policy coordination, became conspiracy channels plotting leadership challenges. Messages leaked to journalists revealed the desperation. "He's lost the public, lost the palace, and he's losing us," wrote one cabinet minister, whose name is protected. Another message from a senior Labour MP simply read, "Monday, no confidence vote. It's time." The question isn't if they'll move against Starmer, but whether they move fast enough to save the party before voters do it for them. Downing Street aides describe Starmer as defiant but isolated. Convinced critics simply don't understand his brilliant long-term strategy, but strategy means nothing when your own MPs are preparing your political obituary. One senior advisor admitted to journalists that he thinks he's Churchill, standing alone against populism, not realising he's Neville Chamberlain, waving a piece of paper nobody believes. Here's the layer that could bring down the entire government within days. Leaked internal polling data from Labour headquarters shows the party falling to 3rd place nationally for the first time in modern history. If these documents are real, And if they show what 3 separate Labour sources claim, then we're witnessing the complete collapse of a governing party barely 6 months into power. The private polling tested voter reactions to the leaked immigration targets. The results were apocalyptic. In traditional Labour strongholds, support cratered by an average of 23 percentage points. Working-class voters in the North East who delivered Labour's landslide are abandoning the party in numbers pollsters described as statistically unprecedented.